Crits are fiction, right? Right? If I pretend they don't exist, they just won't happen, right? We got this. Pokemon White, a fantastic Pokemon game, but definitely one with the least early game encounter variety. Like seriously, less than Red and Blue. We've only got one of 3 starters, 2 of Lillipup, Patrat, and Purloin, and an Elemental Monkey. The only type we'll get 2 of is Normal, so why not try a Hardcore Nuzlocke using the most common type in all of Pokemon? We'll have 9 total encounters, spread out fairly well through the whole region. So can we beat a Pokemon White Hardcore Nuzlocke with only normal types following these rules? Let's find out. New Town, the start of our journey and where we meet our 2 rivals, Sharon and Bianca. Now, we fight these 2 a combined 13 times, so I'm really not going to touch on them a whole lot moving forwards. Just FYI. We get our starter, not normal to Snivy, and we head to Route 1 to take our first steps of our Pokemon journey with our best friends. We're going to raise all sorts of Pokemon, create diverse teams, make friends along the way. What? I'm going to have Watchog on my team? Route 1 is a 50-50 between Lillipup and Patrat, but we get the worst outcome. At least Watchog evolves kinda early, but look at these base stats. Ugh. After beating N in Accumula Town, we get the other Route 1 option on Route 2, Lillipup. Now, this is actually a pretty good Pokemon. Did you know that Stoutland is actually the normal choice for speedrunners of this game? Solid enough move pool, gets access to Intimidate, overall, not too bad. Our Lillipup does have the ability Pickup, meaning it'll turn into Sand Rush instead of Intimidate. That kinda sucks, but whatever. We beat up Bianca and Sharon before we get access to the Mistralton City gym. Since I picked Snivy as my starter, we need to take on Gym Leader Chili with a Pansear that loves to waste my berries with Incinerate. This should be fun. Chili leads with Lillipup and I do the same, but mine's 2 levels higher. A tackle does less than half as Chili uses Work Up, boosting Lillipup's attack stats. I switched to using Bite, and a Bite of Chili's own does just less than half. Chili uses a potion, but another Bite brings Chili's lead back into the yellow. At that HP, a tackle brings down our mirror matchup, and Chili sends out his last Pokemon, Pansear. Pansear works up on the first turn, and a tackle from Lillipup does about a third. We do the exact same thing on the next turn. Incinerate comes in, and it does 15 damage, meaning it would have KO'd if it crit, but it didn't. So Lillipup secures our first gym badge of the run with another tackle. That's the 3 brothers of Striaton defeated, and we're off towards our next destination, Nakarine City. Before we get there though, we've got some side quests to do just to clean up a little bit. First, we beat up Charon again, and in that battle, Lillipup evolves for his first time into Herdier. If only you had Intimidate. We grab our 3rd encounter of the run, a Pidove that doesn't have super luck, and then Bianca comes over and realizes that Charon can't do anything on his own, so we get enlisted to save a little girl's Pokemon. With that done, we have one last stop before we get to our next city. After that Team Plasma run-in, Shaking Grass becomes available, meaning we can catch another encounter over in the Dream Yard, an Audino. Regenerator is a really cool ability, and she gets access to some great coverage moves, as well as having the base stats of a single stage Pokemon. Definitely our best team member for right now. Nakarine City, a place I thought was pronounced Nakarine until I just started reading the scripts right now. Wait, what? It's Nakrine? I bet in my old videos I said that every time. N? More like, N is basically a 3rd rival in this game, and he's not really a challenge at all. So just like Charon and Bianca, we're not going to touch on him too much. We beat him up, get introduced to this guy who just loves his wife. I love characters that just love their wives. The museum is also the 2nd gym, so we head inside to take on one of the trickiest gym leaders in Unova, Lenora and her normal types. She leads with her Intimidate Herdier, take notes idiot, and I lead with my newly evolved Watchog. A crunch does about a quarter as a leader drops our Route 1 encounter's defense. Actually, we do this exact thing on the next turn, so now we've got a -2 Meerkat and a dog at half HP. I swap to Audino on the next turn to tank a takedown for less than half, then pivot right back into Watchog on another, resetting the defense drops and taking a lot less damage. The recoil damage brought Lenora's lead into healing range, but thanks to the defense drop from Crunch earlier, it's now a 2-shot KO. That's 1 down, 1 to go, and the next is the star of the show, Retaliate Watchog. This mirror matchup isn't going to go my way if we have to tank a 140 boosted power stab Retaliate, but thankfully, Watchog has Detect, so we can just stop that from happening. We block the boosted one, but a regular Retaliate on the next turn still hits pretty hard. A crunch did solid damage in return though, but we've got to switch things up here. I swap into Herdier as Watchog misses a hypnosis. I retaliate as almost half my HP as Herdier gets his own miss on a takedown. Herdier actually takes another, bringing him down to the red before a berry, then actually hits a move this time, bringing Lenora's ace down into the red. Pidove makes her first appearance, swapping in to tank a crunch for less than half. From here, Watchog misses another hypnosis, and Pidove can connect with an air cutter, securing us our second gym badge of the run. We've got the basic badge, and now it's time to make our way to Castelia City. Or not. Team Plasma is doing some whack again, and this is now my problem. We trek through the forest, get the dragon skull back, and now we can actually continue ahead to the largest city in Unova. We cross the Sky Arrow Bridge and arrive in the amazing Castelia City. I sure hope there's nothing going on here. Jesus Christ. Team Plasma just won't quit. We save Bianca's mana along with Opalucid City's gym leader, Iris. Can we actually move the on with our lives now? Wait, we actually can? Awesome. Berg isn't a super tough battle for us, but in preparation, Pidove evolves into a Tranquil, which is going to be a great answer for Berg's ace Levani. We head inside the gym, slide through some goop, and then we can take on Berg for our third gym badge. Castelia's gym leader leads with Whirlipede, and I lead with our newly evolved Tranquil. An air cutter does over half, as a poison tail does quite a bit less in return. Another air cutter gets our first KO of the battle, and gym leader Berg sends out his second Pokemon, Dwebble. I stay in and use Roost, which not only heals Tranquil, but also removes its flying type for a turn. So the normally super effective Smackdown just does some light neutral damage instead. An air cutter does solid damage, but I thought that Roost lasted for the turn after as well, but it doesn't. So Tranquil has to eat the super effective Smackdown down to half HP. We do the same Roost recovery air cutter song and dance for a little bit until Dwebble goes down, with Tranquil at about half HP. Last up for Berg is his ace, Levani, a really solid Pokemon at this point in the game. A Razor Leaf does 11 damage, as a 4 times super effective air cutter does just not enough for the KO. Now, normally I'd just send it here, but since Tranquil has 21 HP left, and Razor Leaf is a high crit rate move, I don't want to risk anything. I swap into Autono on a Razor Leaf, and she tanks another one before hitting a secret power, bringing Levani into the red and getting the paralysis. Since I know Berg is going to heal here, I take the chance to swap into Watchog for free. Super Fang cuts Levani's HP in half, as a String Shot just lowers Watchog's speed. Since I know the AI wants to bring the speed to an even playing field, Watchog can comfortably bring Levani back into the red, so we get another free swap, this time into Tranquil again. We roost a couple of times, as Levani just uses a Razor Leaf and a String Shot, leaving us at full HP and still way faster than the paralyzed Levani. From here, this one's pretty easy. 2 air cutters get the job done, and that's all 3 of Berg's Pokemon down. We've got a brand new badge for our collection, and it's time to head towards Nimbasa City. Before we get on with our travels, we've got 2 battles with each of our rivals. First, Bianca is in the gate to Route 4. This isn't anything to write home about, so let's talk about Sharon, who's actually on Route 4. Again, this battle isn't tough, but I do want to point out that I actually got to use Herdier's Sand Rush ability here. So, it's definitely better than Intimidate, right? Right, guys? Nimbasa City. Who wants to head to the amusement park? Apparently, Ed. I saw him on Tinder a few times, and I always swiped left. But here I am on a romantic Ferris wheel ride. Again, I just keep coming back. I can't resist. Before our next gym battle, we can actually get a new encounter on Route 16, just outside Lost Lorn Forest. Here, we find a Mincino, a Pokemon that is quite a bit better when it has access to its hidden ability, Skill Link. But when it evolves into Cincino, it's actually faster than Scolipede and Raichu. Definitely an asset for the team once we get a Shiny Stone. But we need some help in the present, so we grab some TMs from the Pokemon Center, namely Thunderwave, Light Screen, and Reflect. Can you also get Return here? Yes. Did I completely forget? Also yes. But that doesn't matter right now, since we've got to ride some coasters and take on Elisa and her electric types for our 4th gym badge of the run. Elisa leads with one of 2 Emolgas, and I lead with Autono. Now, this is going to be a great example of Autono's real power. In Generation 5, Thunderwave still paralyzes electric types, so after a Volt Switch, Autono connects and paralyzes Elisa's second Emolga. Now that we've slowed down one flying squirrel, we do some chip damage with secret power instead of return because I'm stupid, before a Volt Switch brings in the unparalyzed Emolga. I swap out Autono for some regenerator recovery and bring in Mincino to tank a hit that can't KO even with a crit. I swap Autono back in and Emolga doesn't Volt Switch out thanks to a full paralysis. That's actually pretty nice, so we can get off another secret power before it swaps out. Emolga number 1 switches again, and Emolga number 2 walks right into another secret power from Autono that does just enough to KO. One stupid squirrel down, one to go. I know Emolga is going to Volt Switch here now, so I take this turn to set up a Reflect. This should let some of our other teammates take down the ace with some damage reduction. I swap into Watchog on a quick attack, then Zebstrika Volt Switches out into Emolga, who eats a Super Fang, cutting its HP in half. Since I'm expecting another switch here, I stay in, risking a crit, then hit a Super Fang on Elisa's ace, also cutting its HP in half. Watchog has done his job, so I swap to Herdier on a Spark for some light damage through the last turn of Reflect. Zebstrika's second Spark does quite a bit more, but it doesn't get the para, so Herdier can go underground with Dig, then finish off the ace with a super effective move. Now we've only got to deal with one last Pokemon, the Pika clone of Gen 5, Emolga. I swap out Herdier, but Emolga uses Pursuit, which made my heart drop a little bit. We're good though. Now Autono is in for free and over half HP thanks to Regenerator. Volt Switch does solid damage, but Autono gets off a Thunder Wave to give our team the speed advantage. Autono does need a little bit more HP to win this 1v1 though, so I need to call on Mincino to risk one more crit, which she survives. I swap Autono back in and do some damage until Elisa uses a Hyper Potion. At this point, Autono needs some more recovery from Regenerator, so I swap into Tranquil, risking a crit on the super effective Volt Switch. Oh, fully paralyzed. Cool. I bring Autono back in and okay, there's the crit that I was waiting for. Well, this time Tranquil actually does need to risk a crit and she survives it. From here, Autono can actually come in and finish off Emolga with a few more secret powers. That secures us our 4th gym battle and we're halfway through our gym challenge. Elisa somehow has the power to open a closed bridge, which I fought Cheren earlier. Oh, yeah, that's all. I just wanted to mention that. Driftveil City, future home of the Pokemon World Tournament. Clay says some bullshit I don't care about, but now we've got to do some cold storage activities. Before that, we actually get some pretty good held items here. In the market, we talk to this guy with a level 30 Pokemon in our party, and we get the Expert Belt to boost super effective moves. After that, we head into this house with 50 Pokemon seen to get a Shell Bell for our trouble, which gives a little bit of HP recovery if you do damage. Finally, in the cold storage, we steal the Rocky Helmet off this worker's head, which deals damage to the enemy when they make contact. With that new held item support, we quickly take down Team Plasma, and now we've only got our gym battle left to conquer. We can actually improve our team before we take on Clay though, since we have access to Route 6. In the grass, we can catch a Deerling with the unique normal grass typing. That's pretty nice for the upcoming ground gym. If we continue down the route, we can actually get a shiny stone from the house outside of Chargestone Cave, letting us evolve our Mincino into a Cincino. With our new power boost, we can head over to the Driftveil City gym and take on Clay for our 5th gym badge. Clay leads with Krokorok and I lead with Autono. A Swagger confuses Autono, but she breaks through to hit a huge secret power, bringing Clay's lead into the red. I test my luck again as Clay heals with a Hyper Potion, but Autono just hits herself in confusion. Krokorok uses Torment, forcing us to alternate moves as Autono breaks through confusion to set up a Reflect. Crunch does some okay damage on the next turn, but Autono finally shakes off the confusion, hitting another secret power. Clay uses his second Hyper Potion, and I swap into Cincino, making her debut. A Wake Up Slap almost gets the one-shot KO, but Krokorok doesn't even punch back, since it just stays fully paralyzed. From there, that's an easy KO, bringing down Clay's first Pokemon. Next up is Palpitoad. I swap into our new Grass-type Deerling as Palpitoad sets up an Aqua Ring. At this moment, I kind of forgot that Deerling doesn't have a Grass-type move yet, so I set up a Leech Seed to counteract Palpitoad's Aqua Ring. Deerling stays in, bringing Palpitoad down to yellow before I swap into Autono on a Muddy Water that missed. On the next turn, a Muddy Water connects and thankfully doesn't get an accuracy drop as Autono sets up a Reflect, having physical damage. With that buff, I swap into Cincino, unfortunately who does get accuracy dropped, but then she secures a KO with a Swift. That leaves us with 3 turns of Reflect, an inaccurate Chinchilla, and Clay's Excadrill coming onto the field. A Wake Up Slap does over half, as this broken freak uses a Bulldoze to lower Cinccino's speed. That drop means I gotta risk a crit, so I swap to Deerling on the slash as Reflect wears off. From here, I think Deerling could get the KO after tanking a Rock Slide, but a double kick leaves Excadrill in the red. Not ideal, but we can recover from here. I swap through Audino to get a Reflect up, then back into Cinccino on another slash. From here, Cinccino can outspeed again and finish off the battle with another Wake Up Slap. That's Excadrill down and Clay along with it. We grab our 5th badge of the run, and we're off to the worst part of the Unova games, Chargestone Cave. Our team got 2 evolutions. Herdier and Tranquil both evolved into Stoutland and Unfezant respectively. A nice power boost for the squad moving into the last few gyms. We find Bianca at the entrance to Route 6 and yeah. Anyways, Clay lets us into the cave, and now we've got to go through a super annoying Plasma Gauntlet. It's not hard, but like, what a waste of my time. We do need to fight End at the end, which is a little tricky since we lack a special attacker for the Iron Defense spamming Ferrothorn. We do eventually bring it down, but I thought I'd mention it. We arrive in Mistralton City and meet up with Professor Juniper's dad and the gym leader of the town, Scarlet. Before we take on our 6th gym challenge, we have a couple things to take care of. First, we have access to the Move Relearner now, giving a few of our team members, specifically Stoutland, access to some really good moves. Having the Elemental Fang moves is really great, especially with the Flying Gym coming up. Our second item of business is my second least favorite part of these games, Celestial Tower. I need someone to invent a cheat that just sends me right up to the top, so I don't need to play Spam Crunch Simulator for 20 minutes. We ring the bell at the top, and we can finally head back to the city. While prepping for our fight, Deerling evolves into Sawsbuck, but that's not a great help for this upcoming battle. We blast around in some cannons, and it's time to take on the master of flying types, Scarlet. Scarlet leads with the unexpectedly fast Swoobat, and I lead with Watchog. It boosts its special defense with Amnesia, but that doesn't really help against our physical crunch, bringing Swoobat into the yellow. Scarlet heals with a Hyper Potion, and I decide to go for a Super Fang, cutting Swoobat's HP in half. A Heart Stamp thankfully doesn't lock us into flinch jail, so one more crunch finishes off Scarlet's lead Pokemon. Second up is Unfezant. We stay in with Watchog, tanking a Leer to drop our defenses, but then we connect with a Super Fang, cutting Unfezant's HP in half. The defense drop kind of forces me to swap now, so I bring in Audino on a quick attack for some light damage. Unfezant charges his 2-turn attack, Razor Wind, as Audino hits a Thunder Wave, giving us some much needed speed control. A secret power does half of Unfezant's remaining HP as it stays fully paralyzed. It does try to get a little bit of ship with quick attack on the way out, but Audino finishes off Scarlet's second Pokemon with another secret power. That leaves Scarlet with just one Pokemon left, her ace, Swanna. An Aerial Ace does solid damage, but Audino hits another Thunder Wave, once again giving us the speed advantage. I swap into Stoutland on an Aerial Ace for some light damage, and then, thanks to the Move Relearner and Audino's Thunder Wave, we can outspeed and connect with a Thunderfang for a clean one-shot KO on Scarlet's ace. That's wraps for Scarlet and the 6th gym, and it's time to move on from Mistralton City. Charon catches up with us at Twist Mountain, and this battle is actually a little tricky. He's got all fully evolved Pokemon now, all with items. Like his Unfezant, for example, with Super Luck and a Scope Lens to boost crits. Just an actual RNG demon. We do get through it unscathed though. Twist Mountain isn't super important. I did need to have the trainer list up to make sure I didn't walk right into a fighting type trainer, but other than that, it was pretty manageable. Once we travel around there, we arrive in Icyverse City, home of the 7th gym. Professor Juniper's dad says something I don't remember, but hey look, it's time to take on Bryson and his ice types. Bryson leads with Vanillish, and I lead with Sawsbuck? Why? Well, our part grass type has access to the unique move Camouflage, which changes the user's type based on the field conditions. Inside gyms, that makes Sawsbuck a pure normal type. Our Leech Seed misses, but Vanillish connects with a Mirror Shot, doing some light damage. Leech Seed actually hits on the next turn, giving us some guaranteed passive damage as Vanillish sets up an Acid Armor to +4. This is definitely going to be a long one, so grab your popcorn. Sawsbuck can stall Bryson's lead down to the red, but since I know Bryson is going to heal anyways and Sawsbuck got his accuracy drops, I just swap into Unfezant on our free turn. After detecting for some more Leech Seed chip, I swap into Audino on a Frost Breath that always crits. We do a little bit more chip, including getting off a Thunder Wave, then swap back into Sawsbuck on another Bryson Hyper Potion. At this point, y'all are probably wondering why I'm spending so much time on Bryson's easiest Pokemon, but the whole goal here is to burn some Hyper Potions in the safest way possible. Sawsbuck stalls out Unova's Ice Cream Cone, and that's the first of Bryson's Pokemon down. Second up is his ace, Beartic, with the monstrous 130 base attack. Since we're full HP, Sawsbuck can stay in and hit a low kick on this heavy guy, doing over half as a swagger, boosts our attack, and confuses us. I swap into Watchog on a slash for about a third. Since Bryson's ace is super slow, Watchog can outspeed and get a KO with low kick here, preventing any real damage from the ace. Last up for Icy City's gym leader is Cryogonal. Great Pokemon on the special side, but since it has less defense than Nidoran female, our physical attacking team is gonna have a feast. I swap into Cincino, who tanks an Aurora Beam for less than half on the switch in. From here, a Wake Up Slap can get a clean one-shot KO, ending this battle and getting us our 7th gym badge. We've only got 1 gym badge left, so I'm sure we don't have to do another super easy pointless gauntlet, right? Oh, for f***'s sakes. I love these games, but like, please stop giving me lame easy gauntlets. If only there was a game that made these sections challenging and interesting. At the top of Dragon Spiral Tower, N flexes his legendary, basically just saying, it's just big me. And now we can continue on our journey. Really? Back to back? Desert Resort down, and it's time to head to Ruleset City, home of the 8th gym leader and apparently a Maga rally. Before we take on Iris, we can access our encounter on Route 10. Here, we've got a 20% chance to get Bouffalant and a 30% chance to get Rufflet. If we get Rufflet, we can't ever get Bouffalant, which would be really bad since that's probably the best Pokemon available to us. Like, look at these stats. Rufflet also doesn't evolve until level 54, meaning we can't even use it until after the Elite Four. We can also get Rufflet in Victory Road as well, so if we roll Bouffalant, we're not even losing anything. We walk into the grass and, wait, that's a Herdier. Okay, take 2. We walk into the grass and get the Buffalo. Let's fucking go. He'll be a huge help for Iris too, since this is not going to be an easy fight. Druddigon with Revenge and Big Defense, plus Dragon Dancing, Fracture, and Haxorus. Yeah, we're going to need some help. We head inside the gym and challenge the Pokemon the series Black and White protagonist, Iris. Iris leads with Fracture and I lead with Bouffalant. A return does over half as Fracture sets up a Dragon Dance, boosting both its attack and speed. It doesn't even make use of the boost though, since it just goes for Dragon Rage, which always does 40 damage. A second return brings down Iris's first Pokemon. Second up is Druddigon, the real problem for our team. I swap into Autono as Druddigon uses Chip Away. We set up a Reflect to half the physical damage we take, as Druddigon uses Revenge, that does about 30 damage. I swap to Watchog on the next turn, as another Revenge does less than half. We risk a boosted Revenge from Druddigon as a Super Fang cuts its HP in half, but Iris just used Night Slash for some reason. I swap back into Bouffalant on a Chip Away for some light damage, but we've got Iris right where we want her. At half HP, Druddigon can't withstand a stab head charge from Bouffalant, getting us our second KO of the battle. Iris only has 1 Pokemon left, and on paper it should be the scariest one, Haxorus. The only problem is that Iris's ace has a crucial flaw, its moveset. Dragon Dance Haxorus should be able to run through my entire team, but its highest damage move is almost always Dragon Tail, which has negative priority. That negates all the speed boosts it gets from Dragon Dance, so after setting up 2 boosts, Haxorus just lets Bouffalant get a free KO, since it goes for Dragon Tail, which will always go last. That's Iris defeated, and as much as I wish Iris had a better team comp, I'm gonna take my W and move on with my life. Time for the Elite Four. We head down Route 10 and get stopped by Sharon along the way. This is our final battle with our main rival, so this fight is gonna be legend. It's over already? Yeah, this one wasn't too bad actually. Emboar doesn't even have a fighting type move to play around, so we can kinda breeze through it. We arrive at the gates to Victory Road and pass through the badge check. Victory Road, the final test before the Elite Four. I love sprinting through these like a demon. It soothes the soul. In the middle of our mad dash, we do stop in the rough and grab our final encounter of the run, a Rufflet. Listen, I know I complained about Rufflet not evolving till 54, but honestly, holding the Eviolite, it's not even that bad. We finish our speedrun and arrive at the Pokemon League. This is the final stop on our journey. We've got more than 6 Pokemon here, so we've got to figure out which Pokemon are coming with us. The final team is going to have Audino, Unfezant, Bouffalant, Stoutland, Rufflet, and Cincino, meaning Sawsbuck and Watchog are going to be watching this one from the bench. Can this team of 6 answer every problem thrown our way? Let's find out. Since we can take on the Elite Four in any order, I decide to take on Grimsley and his Dark types first, and you'll see why in a second. He leads with Scrafty, and I lead with Stoutland, who has 2 HP left? Did you forget to heal? No. Stoutland has access to the move Reversal, which does more damage the less HP you have. At 2 HP, Stoutland fires off a base 200 power, super effective Reversal for a clean one-shot KO. Unfortunately, we can't just sweep the whole battle like this, because Grimsley sends out his second Pokemon next, Crocodile. This outspeeds Stoutland, so I swap into Audino on a foul play for some solid damage. Earthquake should be the highest roll here, so I swap to Unfezant, getting the free swap thanks to her flying typing. From here, we do need to risk a crit, but thankfully, we don't get punished as 2 flies from Unfezant brings down Grimsley's second Pokemon. Third up is Liepard, which shouldn't be too much trouble. I swap into Rufflet, making his debut, as a Night Slash does some okay damage. Liepard uses Attract because, of course it did, but Rufflet is in a healthy committed relationship, so he connects with the return through the infatuation for over half. A second Night Slash leaves Rufflet in the yellow, but his loyalty knows no bounds, so another return connects, bringing down the third Pokemon of the battle. Grimsley's final team member is his ace, Bisharp. I swap into Bouffalant as a Night Slash does more than I thought it would. That means we're going to need a little bit of luck on our side to take this one home. Bisharp goes for a Night Slash again on the next turn, but it doesn't crit. So Bouffalant can connect with a 4 times super effective double powered Revenge for the one-shot KO. That's our first Elite Four battle down, and I'm pretty sure the rest are going to be harder than this one. Our next battle is against Shauntal and her Ghost types. Neither of us can use our stab moves here, but I think that gives me the advantage. Shauntal leads with Cofagrigus, and I lead with Audino. We set up a light screen on the first turn, as Psychic does fairly light damage. Audino was also taught the Shadow Ball TM, which does solid damage to Cofagrigus on the next turn, and it gets a special defense drop. I'm not going to waste a bunch of time here, this takes a little bit, but to sum it all up, Shauntal wasted a full restore, and Audino shook off the burn with a held Rostberry. So we could take down her lead with our lead having a fair amount of HP left. Light screen wears off as Golurk comes out second. Expecting an Earthquake, I swap into Unfezant to dodge it, but Golurk just uses Curse. This puts us on a bit of a timer, but since we're faster, it doesn't really matter. A single fly brings down the second Pokemon of the battle, but that does bring Unfezant down to just 40 HP as Shauntal's ace Chandelure comes out. I swap in Bouffalant on a Psychic for some light damage, but now we've got to risk a crit Fire Blast. Chandelure does actually hit the pretty inaccurate move, but doesn't get a crit. So Bouffalant connects with a Bulldoze, lowering its speed, and since we got a crit, it puts it into the red. I was going to swap here, but we do need that chip damage first, so I fire off another Bulldoze for a good chunk as Shauntal uses a full restore. With enough chip done, I swap to Stoutland on another Fire Blast that would have killed if it crit, but I'm not going to think about that. Thanks to the speed drops from Bulldoze and a held Expert Belt, a Dig actually secures the KO here, giving us our third kill of the battle. That leaves Shauntal with just one Pokemon left, and that's her Jellicent. I swap into Audino on a Brine for some light damage, and she takes a Surf on the next turn before setting up another light screen. With some added special bulk, I swap to Rufflet on a pretty light Surf. After hitting a fly for some nice damage and getting it disabled by Cursed Body, Jellicent uses a Shadow Ball for some reason, but that doesn't affect Rufflet. That's a little weird. Since I have no attacking moves that can hit a Ghost type now, I swap back to Audino on another Shadow Ball. Why? We set up a light screen on the next turn, taking a Surf in the process that brings Audino into the yellow. Thankfully, Shauntal's last Pokemon just uses Shadow Ball again on the next turn, letting Audino get off her own for some pretty solid damage. Right after that, Audino finishes off the last Pokemon of the battle with another Shadow Ball, winning us our second Elite Four battle. Only 2 battles left to go. Battle number 3 is against the last Elite Four member that isn't going to give me nightmares, and that's Caitlin. She leads with Reuniclus, and I lead with Audino. She's holding a Light Clay that you can thief off of Wild Golurk, and I definitely spent time doing that. This means that when Audino uses Light Screen, we'll get 8 turns, not 5. This special defense boost saves us from a super effective Focus Blast, unless it crits. Okay, we're good. A super effective crunch does over a half as a third focus blast misses. So that means we've only risked 2 crits. A follow-up crunch on the next turn gets a KO, and second out is Sigilyph. I swap into Bouffalant as Sigilyph uses Shadow Ball? Am I missing something? It goes for another Shadow Ball on the next turn, so Bouffalant is free to get off a return for over half. Sigilyph wakes up and uses Psychic now, but it does so little damage that those 2 Shadow Balls didn't even matter. Third up is her ace, Gothitelle. I swap into Cinccino as Gothitelle uses Shadow Ball again. Okay, well, this time it actually does matter, since Cinccino can outspeed and use Encore to lock it into the Ghost type move. Cinccino gets Caitlyn to use a full restore, then takes care of Gothitelle with a few more returns after Encore wears off. That's 3 down, 1 to go. And the last one is Musharna. I swap into Audino on a Psychic that does a considerable amount of damage. We set up another light screen as another Psychic does quite a bit less now. I swap into Bouffalant on a Shadow Ball, okay? Since our Buffalo has great bulk and light screen support, he wins this 1v1 pretty easily. Touching on these Shadow Balls though, I think it's gotta be some weird quirk with like light screen and normal types or something. I don't know. I'm gonna take the freebies though. That's Musharna down, and we've won our 3rd Elite 4 battle. Only one left to go, and it's the one I've been stressing about the entire time. The final Elite 4 member is the Fighting type Master, Marshal. Marshal leads with Throw, and I lead with Audino. Since we're faster, we can get off a Reflect extended by Light Clay before Throw uses a Payback? Okay. I swapped in Pheasant on a Bulldoze that she's immune to, then use a Fly for over half on the next turn. We do need to eat a Payback, but that damage is basically negligible. One more Fly gets the job done, and that's the first Fighting type down. Next up is Sock, who's got the ability Sturdy. A quick attack breaks it, but Pheasant has to tank a Stone Edge for her trouble. It does bring her below half, but a held Citrus Berry gives her some nice recovery. With Sturdy broken, a single Fly can secure another KO, netting us our 2nd kill. Third up for Marshal is Conkeldurr, a monster of a Pokemon that our team cannot deal with. I need a clean swap, so I make the tough choice here to sacrifice Rufflet. Our newest team member, thanks for your service. I bring in Audino. We set up another Reflect as a Hammer Arm does big damage to our lead Pokemon. Before she can go down though, I do swap back into Pheasant on another one for some solid damage. A Fly isn't quite enough to get the job done, so that spells the end for our last normal flying type. 1 HP. Jen, you are the GOAT. With that heroic effort, another Fly secures the 3rd KO for Pheasant. That leaves Marshal with 1 Pokemon left, his ace Mienshao. I detected trying to bait a Jump Kick, but it was a Retaliate. That means when I swap to Audino, she has to eat a super effective Jump Kick down to 26 HP as Reflect wears off. Audino needs to make a big sacrifice here, but before she does that, we'd love some chip from a Jump Kick miss. The first Protect blocks a Rock Slide, and we even hit the double Protect, but that was just a U-turn. Luck might not be on our side, but regardless, Audino, thanks for all the work you've done. I bring in Cinccino. Protect finally blocks a Jump Kick, bringing Mienshao down to 50%, and conveniently for us, a max friendship stab return can actually secure a KO from that HP, winning us the battle and finishing off the Elite 4. That's only 2 casualties against the Fighting type Master, and honestly, I'm gonna take that. With the 4 guards down, it's time to storm the castle of the champion. We run up the stairs, taking in the view as we arrive at the chambers of the champion, or at least the former champion. N and Team Plasma now own the Pokemon League, and they're already adding renovations like this is House Hunters. The Sages try to stop me from stopping them, but the gym leaders of Unova pull up to give me some help, letting me have the opportunity to take on the big bad once and for all. Before that though, we do actually get access to a PC, meaning we can replenish our team with Sawsbuck and Watchog. That gives us a full team of 6 and a new level cap to head into our final 2 battles against N and Ghetsis. We meet N in the throne room where he shows off his ridiculous Reshiram, crashing through the wall trying to intimidate us. But as we all know, we don't get intimidated, or at least intimidated. We get a box legendary of our own in Zekrom, but we're not using it. N challenges us to battle, and let's save the world. N leads with Reshiram, and I lead with Bouffalant. A Fusion Flare does less than half, but a Head Charge does over half, and the recoil brings our Buffalo into Citrus Berry range. So we've just got to risk one singular crit here and we survive it, as a Hyper Beam leaves Bouffalant with 43 HP, meaning he can secure the first KO of the battle with another head charge. And second up is Klinklang. Wait, do you see that? This should actually be Zoroark, so I swapped Unfezant, who tanks a Retaliate for less than half. Focus Blast does what it does best, miss, as a Fly from Unfezant does over half. We risk a crit here on a Focus Blast, but Unfezant holds at 17 HP before a Citrus Berry. Then she can secure a KO with another Fly. N's third Pokemon is Vanilluxe, so I swap Unfezant into Stoutland on a Blizzard that actually does almost half. A second Blizzard actually connects, leaving Stoutland with just 5 HP, but that's not zero, so Stoutland can outspeed and get the KO with a second return, and that's half of N's team down. Fourth is the real Klinklang, so I swap Stoutland for Watchog on a Flash Cannon that gets a critical hit, activating his held Citrus Berry. Watchog is definitely the most expendable member of our team, so I stay in, surviving a Hyper Beam with 7 HP before firing off a Super Fang, cutting the Steel type's HP in half. On the recharge turn, another Super Fang puts Klinklang in KO range. I swap to Cinccino on a Thunderbolt that does like a third. A Thunderbolt of our own can secure the KO from 25%, and N's only got 2 Pokemon left. The first of those is Caracosta, which is a great opportunity to let Sawsbuck get involved. I bring him in on a Stone Edge that missed, and now we've got a great matchup. Hornleech brings him to Sturdy, as a Stone Edge does big damage, a lot more than I thought it was. N uses a full restore, so that means Sawsbuck gets some great recovery, then picks up the KO with a third Hornleech. That leaves N with 1 Pokemon left, but it's probably his most difficult to deal with, Archeops. We need his Defeatist ability to activate and weaken him for us, and to make that happen, Watchog needs to take one for the team here. Our first encounter of the run, thank you for your service. I bring in Cinccino to replace him. Surprisingly, she's actually faster than Archeops, and a Thunderbolt does over half, activating Defeatist and lessening the power of a Stone Edge. That means Cinccino can survive and fire off one more Thunderbolt for the KO. That's N defeated with only 1 casualty, and we've only got 1 battle left until we've officially completed this run. N starts to come back from the dark side, but Ghetsis barges in, going all crazy and shit, and he challenges us to a battle to save the Unova region. Ghetsis leads with Cofagrigus, and I lead with Bouffalant because of the last battle. I swapped Unfezant on a Toxic, basically just to tank it for Stoutland, who I swap into next on a Protect that just fails. A Crunch does about a third as Cofagrigus uses Toxic, which we wanted on this turn, not earlier, and you'll see why. I'll save you the time here, but Cofagrigus just stalls with Protect, but Stoutland wins the 1v1 at 15 HP, in the right range that we're looking for. Cameron's secret weapon comes out second, and I swapped to Unfezant on a Focus Blast that missed. A Dragon Pulse on the next turn does big damage, as Unfezant goes for a Fly, but if you take a look at our bird's HP, she won't be coming back from this mission. Toxic damage brings down Unfezant after she lands from Fly, giving us our first death of the battle. I bring in Bouffalant. A Focus Blast from Hydreigon misses, so our Revenge doesn't get the boost. Luckily for us on the next turn, Focus Blast missed again, so a regular powered Revenge gets the KO. We only needed to risk 1 crit there regardless, so the double miss was just as likely. Third up is Ghetsis' own Bouffalant. Since mine is faster, I get off the first head charge, so instead of just doing some chip damage and sacrificing, our Buffalo actually wins the 1v1, surviving the final head charge at 7 HP. That puts us in a really good spot moving forward, especially with Seismitoad coming out next. I sacrifice Bouffalant for the free swap just to avoid an accuracy drop from Muddy Water, as I bring in Sawsbuck. Hornleech gets the fast one-shot KO, and Ghetsis only has 2 Pokemon left. The next one out is Electros, the Pokemon with no weaknesses. Sawsbuck gets off a Leech Seed and actually survives an itemless boosted Acrobatics at 7 HP, meaning our Reindeer can Protect for some more Leech Seed damage, then get off a strong return before going down to another Acrobatics. Thank you for your service. Cinccino can come in and outspeed for the Revenge KO, and now Ghetsis is down to his last Pokemon, Bisharp. And normally I'd be kinda worried, but we've been planning for this since the start of the battle. Cinccino gets off a return before a critical hit Night Slash gets the clean KO on our speedy Chinchilla. Rest in peace. I bring in Stoutland. At 15 HP, Reversal is a 150 base power, 4 times super effective move on Bisharp, and Stoutland has a higher speed stat. Stoutland outspeeds and finishes off Bisharp, and with that, we've officially beaten a Pokemon White Hardcore Nuzlocke with only normal type Pokemon. Thanks guys so much for watching this one. I had a lot of fun using Pokemon that are considered to be pretty mediocre, but I think that reputation might be deserved, honestly. No resistances makes switching around like impossible, but we got through anyways. If you liked this video, hit the like button, subscribe if you're new, and if you really liked it, why not get a tattoo of my face on your body? It's like a new trend, check it out. Let me know what you guys want to see next here in the comments. Follow me on TikTok, buy me a coffee over there, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching.